Bill Carroll of Zenny62 Media, here to talk about receivers that I could see being able to, at least for the short term and maybe the long term, replace Calvin Ridley on the Atlanta Falcons roster. Now, Ridley, of course, was brought in and had a couple of years to learn and be essentially, Batman, or if you prefer, not Batman, but a Robin, or if you prefer, Nightwing to Julio Jones as Batman, and then, of course, got his chance to be Batman. So while he didn't always dominate as a number one receiver, he was a legitimate number one receiver and did a pretty good job with that role. So they do need to replace his production. I think they're going to be active in free agency, but it would be a good time in this extremely deep, extremely talented wide receiver group to look at some of the guys who'd be a good landing spot for. And some people mentioned Jamison Williams, and of course, we didn't get to see him work out because he's still coming back from that ACL, but he's 6'1" and a quarter. He's 179, so he's slender. Now, was heavier prior to the injury, but he was, even at his heaviest, probably in the 170, 187 to 188 range, most likely. He, of course, has very good speed when healthy, and we're assuming nowadays that he'll come all the way back. And John Mechie, of course, is sort of a similar player in sort of a similar, situation, or person that we're expecting sort of similar things from. Not as fast, obviously, and a little smaller at 5'11" and a quarter, 187. But moving beyond the two guys that you essentially would have to redshirt, Treylon Burks is, of course, a guy that a lot of people talked about recently. He came in at 6'2", 225, ran a 4.55 40, had a 7.28 3 cone, which is not amazing, but it's not terrible, especially for a guy his size. 33-inch vertical and a 10.2 broad. So he is a good athlete, like especially for, once again, his size. To put it in perspective, he's not far off of T.O. and not far off of even, T.O. I think 4.49 at his pro day. And Brandon Marshall was a guy who came in at 4.52. He's a big-bodied receiver who's not a super great route runner, but he knows how to use his body. He plays fast, and once again, he's very powerful. Alec Pierce is a guy that has size and speed, though obviously he doesn't really utilize it the same way. I think he's a better athlete. I knew he was a better athlete than some people thought he was, and he's a better athlete than some people may think he is based off tape. He's not quite the athlete that you may think a 4.4 140 dictates, because he's not a guy that looks to be a deep threat. I think he could do it, but yes, he's a guy who's 6'3" and 1/8 of an inch, 211, ran that mentioned 4.41, 7.13 in the 3 cone, which once again for a guy as tall as he is actually very good. Short shuttle, not amazing, but solid at 4.28 and a 40.5-inch vertical, which tells you he can definitely, play above the rim, as they say. And then Pickens is sort of a similar guy, but not quite as fast, 4.47, 6'3 and a quarter, 195, 33-inch vert, really good body control, and a 10.5 broad. And of course, some people think he may not be 100% yet. This is one of my favorites. So I'm going to preface this by saying I am not at all able to be completely unbiased regarding this player. I think that this is a guy that would have produced through the roof if not for the fact that he had somewhere between inconsistent and flat out poor wide receiver play during his time. But that's Tyrese Freyfogle in Indiana, 6'1 and a quarter, 6'1 and an eighth, 204, and 4.53, which once again is not blazing, but just to remind everybody, that's 3/100ths of a second faster than, say, Davante Adams. And he's similar, not saying he is the same, but he's similar to Davante Adams in a couple of things, because like Davante Adams, he's a guy who can really play above the rim again, just like Davante. 39-inch vert. Davante Adams was right about that same range in the vertical. 11.3 broad, which tells you he's got a strong, powerful lower body. I really like him. I think he's going to find a home somewhere in the NFL and really produce. Other guys I could see landing there. Now, Romeo Doubs didn't do a full workout, but he's 6'1 and 7/8, 201. I'm estimating off tape. I think he's somewhere in that 4.49 range. I think 4.43 would be maybe the fastest he could go. And, I don't think he's much over that. Maybe 4.54 would be, to me, would be a really bad time for him, but it's possible. And obviously, if you're looking to replace somebody who's more along the sort of Julio Jones mold, there's guys like Isaiah Weston, right? 6'3 and a half, 214 pounds, tested terrifically well. Big hands, right? 9.5-inch hands, 4.42 40, 20 bench reps, which means he knows his way around the weight room. 40-inch vertical, 11.3 broad. Terrific athlete. Terrific athlete. Both Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson are terrific players. I don't know if they're going to go receiver early enough to be able to land a guy like that, either of those guys. But what if they slide to you? And the last player I'm going to really focus on, actually I'll pick two. A guy who's actually very similar to me, to Calvin Ridley, is Jahan Dotson. 5'10 and 5'8", so a little over 5'10 and a half, 178 pounds. So once again, sort of a slender cat, but great body control. 4.43, and frankly, I thought he might go a little faster than that. The big surprise to me was the 7.283 cone. I thought he'd be a little quicker than that. 36-inch vert, almost exactly what I was expecting. 10.1 broad, slightly below what I was expecting, but showed you a lot of the things that I think can make him a special player at the next level. And I'll mention one more, Skye Moore, right? I'm a big fan of Skye Moore. Once again, I want to admit my biases. I am a big fan. I was a big fan of his from a couple of years back, really, and to see his development, 5'9 3/4, so he's not the tallest guy in the world, but good body, 195. He can run through contact, 4.41 40, 7.133 cone, 4.32 short shuttle, 34.5-inch vert. That's the only thing that sort of scared me a little bit. I thought he'd have a couple more inches on the vert, but 34.5 is solid. 10.5 in the broad jump. He's a guy that, like I said, not quite Debo, like he's not quite to that level, but he has good strength, terrific in the return game, and I think that somebody's going to get him and really love what they have. Now, the Atlanta Falcons need more than just to replace, obviously losing one of their primary receiving targets, and we'll talk more about other players later.